We're down to 2 or 1. You guys are such passionate fans locked in. All right, what do we got? Anything that stands out that you need to ask about the state of the program? Anything that you guys need, or we can talk about anything you like.
Did Garrett practice today, and how's he feeling? Garrett Dellinger.
Oh, yeah, he practiced today. The Garrett Dellinger watch is on. Yeah, he did. I mean, I think we'll still make it a game time decision because he's coming off of a surgery and want to make sure he feels great. So we'll probably list him as questionable until we get him through the workouts Saturday morning.
And what sort of things do you do in practice to sort of get a guy like Chris up to speed with, I guess, game speed? Is it just playing more games? Or
say that again?
With a guy like Chris Hilton, how do you sort of get him up to, I guess, game speed, since there's obviously been some rust with him? Like, how do you do that through practice if you can?
Yeah, so, we have some burst periods, what we call burst, where you got to catch it and run 25 yards after the catch. So we're really working on that throughout the week so they have game speed, and we track everything with GPS. So, for example, if players are not in what to be 90% of their max velocity, because we know their max velocity, we know what they can run, 21, 22, 20, whatever it is. If they're not hitting close to 90% of their max velocity during practice, that's a problem. They're not playing fast enough. And so we're ramping them up during practice. We're looking at their player load and their max velocity when it comes to speed to make sure we're getting that specifically to what you talked about. And then it's just, you got to let the game come to you, And as I mentioned, I think, he wants to succeed so badly that maybe pressing a little bit, and then you just got to let the game come to you.
With a guy like Dellinger and the injury that he has there been any conversations of balancing, the need to come back now and help you out in these 3 games versus the need to make sure he's ready and healthy to take part in the draft process, I guess, once that starts?
Yeah, I don't make those calls. My most important role here is to have players available and ready to play on Saturday. And we're certainly not going to put them in a position where, we would injure a player. If they're cleared to play, if they're cleared to practice, then I can go work with them. He's been cleared, and that really then becomes a personal decision if you decide that you don't want to play. That's up to the individual. He's not that kind of guy. He's going to do whatever is necessary for him to go out and play and help his teammates.
How has this team responded in practice this week?
Exactly the way I thought they would. Look, I mean, over the last 3 years, they've won a lot of games, and they have a lot of pride, and they know what the standards are here at LSU. We haven't played very well the last 3 weeks. They know that. Everybody knows that. Everybody that watches LSU football knows that. They want to play better football, and we want to coach better. We want to play better. And so they responded the way that I thought they would.
What are some things a young guy like Caleb Jackson's working through in his second year? Just maybe some of the things that you've seen from him. I know it hasn't always led to the most productive performances this year, but just what are some of the things he's working on and to try to get his game up to where you guys need it to be?
So, I think you got to look back on the history of Caleb, right? Played at Liberty Magnet, didn't play much football. It was actually a soccer player. Played very little high school football, and then he came in here and his true freshman year, ran a couple of guys over, and everybody thought he was going to win the Heisman. And so, he's in a developmental phase. And so the more reps that he gets, the more things that he sees, the more kind of intuitiveness kind of begins to build in so he can break off of things and really do completely all the things that a back needs to do. That's the process he's in. He's still learning. And again, I love his attitude. I love the way he approaches it every day, because he could be a guy that's sulking and saying, I should be getting more carries. Does he want more carries? Absolutely. Every receiver, every running back I've ever coached, they want the ball more. But he does it the right way and goes to work every day the right way.
Caden Durham's obviously been probably your most productive back this season, but is the next step for him just trying to get a little bit more downhill as a runner, because he already has the the side-to-side stuff down?
There's development there too, Koki, absolutely. But I don't know that enough people have talked about the kind of injury that he's had, that he's played through. Dislocation of 2 toes, playing with a steel plank in his shoe, would limit anybody, right? Especially a running back. And he's fought through that. I think what's more remarkable as a freshman, his ability to go and play with that kind of injury and still give us everything he has. In terms of the development, absolutely. That's the next stage, right, in his development. But we've thrown him right into the fire, if you will, right away. And then he gets injured. And he still has got a long way, but love the way he's competed.
Not typing fast enough. I believe, Greg, I think pretty close to what you said before the season was, for y'all to have a successful season, you're gonna have to win a lot of close games.
That's right.
Had a lot of close games. So,
Yes, sir.
And aside from the Alabama game, the other losses
Yeah, we had a chance to win 3 of them in late in the third, and then we had to come back and 2 to win.
Right. So right. And you had the two comeback wins against South Carolina and all that. So are you entirely shocked to find yourself in this position right now because
No.
you knew there were a lot of games that could
No,
go either way?
listen, every football coach better know his team and what the most important elements are is that we needed to win close games, as you mentioned, and we needed to be really good down the stretch, and we haven't been good enough, in especially the close games that we've lost, and take Alabama out of the mix. So the edge here, the fine edge here is that, our football team is still working to be the best version of themselves, but we're still building our roster too. And so, look, I understand that everybody's angst and everybody's, want and desire to win every football game we play, but we're building the roster and we're building the program at the same time. And what we needed to do is win some close games this year. And we've won a couple and we've lost 3, and we need to finish these last 2.
Brian, in your coaching career, do you equate wins and losses to whether or not guys who are NFL draft eligible making decisions one way or the other?
My experience has told me that if their development is on pace, if they're developing at the pace that they want to, and there's a benefit for them to come back, they generally come back because they want to be in the program. They see high performance, they see the environment that they're in, and they recognize that. Now, what's more helpful is revenue sharing. Now you add revenue sharing into it where young men are able to take part in this big game that we're in, and it even helps them more. So if you have the right environment, if you have the ability to develop players and they can see that growth, you're probably going to have a great chance of retaining. And then you add revenue sharing in there, it makes it even more of a, I would say, opportunity for guys to say, you know what, I'm going to stay, continue to develop, because the NFL is not a developmental league. It's just not. It's you got to be ready to play. It's called not for long, the NFL, if you're not. So in that sense, I think this all can be very beneficial moving forward.
Zy Alexander's only been targeted 28 times this season by opposing quarterbacks. Do you think offenses are kind of afraid to throw it at him now that he's really shown something at a corner?
If my offensive coordinator ever said that I'm afraid to throw it at somebody, he wouldn't be the offensive coordinator very long. You have to challenge players, and I think when they do challenge him, he's met to the challenge. But you do also have choices as to where you go. I think it's been a little bit of both. I think, where he plays into the boundary, into the short field compared to the wide field, you have a lot more opportunities to roll that coverage up. So there's a little bit of coverage that he gets the benefit of with a safety over the top that you don't get to the field. So it's a little bit of everything, really. I don't think there's just like, hey, we're never throwing over there. I think it's a little bit of all those things. Good. All right. We'll see you guys.